Right, good morning to you and welcome to eNCA. This is Saturday Sport. My name is Nicole Kente. With me in studio is Sunday Times senior sports writer Liam Dalcom. He'll be with us throughout the show. He's back with us tomorrow night as well on Sunday Sport. Now, of course, it's been, with COVID, weeks and weeks of operating in a bubble, and the Springboks might be showing bubble fatigue. Well, that's what SARU President Mark Alexander told eNCA on Thursday. The Boks find themselves in a position where they have to beat the All Blacks to avoid 4 defeats in a row. New Zealand, of course, searching for a clean sweep in the Rugby Championship. And we do see the Boks and New Zealand playing today at 12:05, so we definitely are looking forward to that one. Now, Dave van Hoesslin played scrumhalf for the Springboks, and he joins Liam and I this morning to chat a bit about the Rugby Championship. Dave, good morning to you. Thank you so much for making the time. Now, I want to get straight into it. I mean, losing isn't foreign. It happens in all sporting codes. However, I think it seems that the Springboks are currently going through a period of a bit of a downward spiral. What do you think is exactly wrong with the team at this moment?
Well, good morning, guys, and thank you for having me on the show. I'm going to slightly disagree with you, Nicole. You know, the first 2 games, yes, against Australia, we were not good. We were not good, and it was horrible watching. I think that we left it all out on the field last week. Yes, we made some frustrating decisions towards the end, and I think if we can learn from that and play what's in front of us and change basic things, I think that we did really well. Guys, we lost by 2 points. If you look at the history of the games between New Zealand and South Africa, they are all decided by 2-3 points. Yes, we've been on the losing end of the majority of the time in those really tight encounters. But we just need to find out we just need to find out or to learn how to close out a game. Because if we'd won by 2 points, I promise you we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would have said we beat New Zealand in Australia, which is an away game for us and pretty much a home game for them.
I must say it is quite refreshing, Dave, to get this perspective from you. It's literally chalk and cheese from what we've seen on social media as well. You know, so many fans even very, very much disappointed at the Springboks. So with what you've said now, going into that match at 12 o'clock, what are some of the changes that they need to make when they play New Zealand today?
Well, okay, first of all, I come from a running rugby school. Okay, so I want us to run. I want us to play like New Zealand. But I don't know if that's, what our DNA is made up of. And like the guys have been saying through the week, our DNA is to win the set pieces, to form that platform. And I think if we can get that right, we have to do that. We have to win those set pieces. And once we've done that, then start playing what's in front of us. And I think that's where we got it wrong. If we'd looked up in the last couple of minutes of the game, there were a couple of times, if we just played what was in front of us and backed ourselves, we would have won that game easily. And like when I say easily, by 7 points, easily 7 points against Australia against New Zealand is an easy win, And I just think if we just changed those basic errors and believed in ourselves a bit. Yes, we have a game plan. I get that. But I don't understand why we're still kicking up and unders in their 22. That just means that we don't have the courage or the belief that we can actually break New Zealand down and score tries. And I think if they actually just started to believe in themselves in the red zone, so to speak, and started to play what was in front of them, I think we could have scored 1 or 2 tries, and we'd be having a very different conversation.
Dave, were you surprised by the lack of composure towards the end there? Because if you look at some of the matches, the key matches the Boks have won, and I want to take it back to, say, the World Cup semi-final against Wales, the Boks have displayed this ability to have ice in the veins and to close games out. And now, last week, they certainly had that opportunity. Their noses were in front against the New Zealand team that's probably a little bit more in transition than ours. Were you surprised that we sort of gave it away there in the end?
Yeah, I was surprised and disappointed, because we really were in a position to win that game. We had, started to break holes into New Zealand, and like I said, we didn't play what was in front of us. But maybe it is just because it is New Zealand. We know if you look at the history, out of the 100 games we've played, they've won 60. We've won 30, something, and been a couple of draws.
36.
But, it's close encounters that we keep losing to them. And that's what we've got to learn to close out games against New Zealand. We've been able to do it against other countries, sure. Ice in our veins, sure. Semi-final of the World Cup, sure. But, besides 1995, we haven't come up against New Zealand in a World Cup where we've won it. We need to learn to beat this team. And we are capable of it. We have the skill to do it. We just need the belief that we can actually do it against New Zealand.
Now, if you look at team performance, and this is not so much based on what happened last week, but what is in front of us, end of year tour, there's World Cup to build up to in 2 years' time. Would you have made a couple of more changes just to blood some guys, get them used to this environment of playing against New Zealand, a top side, obviously, and build a little bit towards the next World Cup? Because, as much as people talk about it's difficult being in the bubble and the guys are fatigued, etc., etc., there are 42 Springboks there, and they could easily have lent on a few more.
No, they possibly could, guys. Remember, we're a sportsman, as you mentioned right in the beginning, Nicole. We've had some, pretty damning responses from our very passionate South African supporters. And, they, as much as anyone, want to win. Now, they've lost 3 on the trot. If they had maybe, won against Australia, which we really should have. We're a much better team than Australia. If we'd won, possibly we could have started to look at changes. But, it's also at the end of a very long tour. And guys, I've toured, it gets long away from your family, and so, sometimes you've got to watch out that you don't have one foot back in South Africa already because you want to be home. So, the guys, I think, to want to win, they want to come home on a high note, knowing that, they've left everything out there, and because you're as good as your last game. If they win today, which I truly believe we can. I truly believe that if Sia plays like he plays and drags everyone with him, Sia was phenomenal last week. If he can step up and play another game like that and drag guys with him, and we win by 2 points, everyone in South Africa is going to be, going to want to be at the airport to welcome them home and saying how proud they are, because this is how important these South African New Zealand games are. So it's difficult. Yes, there's a couple of guys I would love to have seen play. I'm really glad Sabu and Corsi's playing. I know that everyone misses Cheslin, but Sabu's a great player, and he kind of plays in Cheslin's, and I don't think it shows how good a player Sabu is. And so I'm very glad he's getting some opportunities at the moment. Yes, we could have made 1 or 2 other changes, but guys, let's back our guys and let's try and win this game, because I truly believe we can.
Dave, very quickly, you've mentioned this a few times this morning, and you said the Springboks just need to have the belief that they can win. As somebody who has played, you are very familiar with the pressures that comes with being an athlete at that level. We've talked about them being in a bubble, them being away from their families for such a long time. So just how would you advise them to deal with the psychological impact with, playing at this level? How do they put those difficulties aside to go in there and just believe?
Well, let's be honest, we've got nothing to lose at the moment. Up till now, we've been world champions, and everyone's expected us to win. And so we went into this Rugby Championship, as the favourites, as the guys that should, win games. And we haven't. Okay, so that monkey's off our back now. Now we're not world champions. We're 2 years into we are world champions, but we don't have to play like world champions. We've got 2 years till the next World Cup, so let's start to build. Go out there. Okay, I didn't mention earlier, we need someone to straighten the line. It's been frustrating for me because we've had guys. I don't mind Vinny running across the field. I don't mind that, but then someone needs to straighten on him, and we're not doing that. So that's been a frustrating element to me. But if we can just go out and just throw everything at them, to win our set pieces, win the scrums like we have been. Now, we struggled a bit in the mauls, we can fix that. The lineouts, we dominated them. Get that platform, and then start to look up and start to play what's in front of you. There's a game plan, but the coach is sitting in the stands. At the end of the day, the player needs to make the decision. And so those players need to start backing themselves, knowing that they are world champions, know that they're good enough, and start to play in this game like I know, and we all know that they can play. Have no fear. They got nothing to lose. Go out and win this game.
Dave, we're going to have to leave it there for now, but thank you so much for your time and for joining Liam and I on Saturday Sport. That's Dave von Hoesslin. He's former Springbok scrum half. And as you've heard, a very positive outlook from him on what the Springboks are capable of. I feel like saying we all need a Dave in our life. That's how positive he is. Now, still to come on Saturday Sport, because SAFA Women's Tournament is currently on the go. Earlier this year, former Banyana's keeper, Shalene Boyson, was appointed coach of South Sudan. She joins Liam and I next to chat a bit about that. Stay with us.